This is Noise. Listener, can you hear me? Kept you waiting, huh? Looks like there's more content at pixelbenders.com. You'll have to click the link in the description below to access the site. You can send your questions to info@pixel-benders.com. If you would like to leave us a message, our frequency is 209-791-0995. Got it? Okay, you're ready to go. Welcome back, everybody, to Codec Calls, a Metal Gear Saga podcast. I'm tired, guys. Where we play the games.
You just want to start over with the intro?
No, fuck it. We're doing it. We're do it live. We do it live.
Fair enough.
Where we play the Metal Gear games from 1987 all the way to the present with two Metal Gear veterans and one noob. I'm your host, Noise One. And with me, again, are my two co-hosts, German, a.k.a. Riser.
Hey, what's up?
And Chris, a.k.a. Dammit Chris, a.k.a. the world's worst gamer.
Hello.
I got it right this time.
I don't remember.
I don't remember what I said last time. I just said, you suck or something.
the word, I can't remember what it was either, but yeah, it's just... It was like a more drawn out way of saying it, like worst gamer in the world or something like that. And
that's what it was. Yeah. Worst gamer in the world. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So let's do a quick recap of what we did last week or up to this point. We've played through Metal Gear, the MSX version. We've played through Metal Gear and Snake's Revenge, the NES versions. And now we're going to talk about the fact that we have played through Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, which we did not get here in the US until Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater Subsistence was released to us. So the only way to play that game before that was a fan translation and like an MSX emulator and stuff like that. So that's where we are right now as far as playing these games. So we got 4 games down and I think like 21 to go. This is going to be MCU levels of holy shit, what are we doing to ourselves? So you guys are going to have to help me along here. Like I said, I'm tired, but we're going to do this together.
Right.
We're going to trudge this together. You guys are Atreyu in Neverending Story, and I'm Artax. Just don't let me drown in the mud.
Okay.
Chris.
Yeah.
Did you finish the game?
I did.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I cheated. I used a walkthrough for like 90% of it, but I did finish the game. Yeah.
Okay. What was your estimated runtime? You did give us an end card. The end card did have probably inaccurate time, but
yeah, I think it said like 7.5 hours. It was closer to, I'd say 12.
Okay.
12 hours. So yeah, like I said, most of it I used a walkthrough. There were a couple times I got a little bit stuck or like kept dying, silly little things. But it was a lot more than I thought it would be, in a good way.
Okay, I think a lot more how.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember when we first started talking about doing the podcast and everything in our first episode, and German, you had mentioned that the first one was going to suck, the MSX version, the NES version. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But then once we got past that, it's like you'll actually enjoy it. It's playable, all that kind of stuff. And that's exactly how I felt. Like I remember looking forward to actually playing it as opposed to, I guess I'll try it,
Just dreading.
Yeah.
No, yeah. The MSX version was fun but hard.
Yeah.
The NES versions were just tasks. They were just let's just get it over with,
Yeah, they were chores.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was a lot more enjoyable. I feel like there was a lot more backtracking in this one than in the first game on the MSX. Because I felt like I had to go back to that compound, the Zanzibar place, like 5 times throughout the game. It felt like.
Oh, building one, yeah.
Yeah, it was done in a nice way where it wasn't like, okay, you can open this one door, but there's 5 doors here you can't open, and then you have to come back to this same room, 10 times or whatever.
Okay.
So I think it was done in a way where obviously there's limitations on how big they can make the maps in the game and everything. So I understand that, and that's why they had the backtracking. Otherwise, the game's going to be like 30 minutes of gameplay. But it was done well. I enjoyed it. I could definitely tell the difference between Kojima and not Kojima with the gameplay and storyline and everything, and just like how it all worked and game mechanics and all that kind of stuff. I did find it interesting the bucket. Like I said,
Oh,
I
yeah.
I knew about the cardboard box. I did not know about the bucket. And I remember the one part where it wants you to go outside of the women's restroom, and it says, "Oh, just wait out there until the guard goes in, and then you follow it in." And there's the one guard that was like standing guard outside there. And I think I had mentioned this from the first game, where it's like, I don't know how they look around and they see a cardboard box there that wasn't there before, and they just go about their business. I love that they implemented in this version that, hey, what's that? And they just start shooting it.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And I remember when I was in the bucket and they were shooting me and it wasn't doing any damage. So I was like, oh, cool. I must be protected, or they're missing or something. And later on, I had the cardboard box on, and it was a similar situation where a guard had turned around and seen me. Oh, what's this? And they started shooting me, and I did take damage. I was like, oh, so the bucket prevents you from taking damage when they're shooting you, but the cardboard box doesn't, which makes sense. If someone shoots a bucket, it's probably going to deflect the bullet, or at least more likely to, than just a cardboard box. And so I thought that was a really cool feature for them to implement in that, and I really enjoyed that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'll be the first
like
to
I said,
I never put the bucket on either. So
I put it on, but I didn't. I didn't like understand the purpose. I was like, "Is this just like a box? Like whatever."
yeah.
It's the only thing I can think it was for. But yeah, there was one time I don't remember where it was exactly, but yeah, I was sneaking past the guard, and I had the cardboard box on instead of the bucket, and yeah, what is that? And they start shooting, and I actually took damage that time. I was like, oh, okay, so the bucket protects you and the cardboard box doesn't.
Okay.
And I appreciate little details like that. It makes it so much more immersive and realistic and stuff. Yeah, and then the boss fights were interesting. And I think one of the predictions I had was that Big Boss wasn't going to be in this one, but some of the other characters were. And I remember Gray Fox, and I know there was one other one that I remembered from the last game too, that had returned.
Schneider.
And then, yeah, Schneider, that's it. Yep. And he ended up being one of the enemies, which I thought was cool. And it kind of talked about the backstory, which I don't remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, it was interesting to see a couple of those characters return as enemies when they were allies in the first time. And they kind of explain, like Gray Fox especially is like, oh, well, Big Boss saved me long ago, and it's I owe him so much, and I'm not doing this just because I owe him. I do it because I believe he's right. And so it brings moral into question. It brings, if Big Boss is the one that's saving all these children, how is he bad? From his point of view, that's how he sees it. And it's deeper than just you're a bad guy, so I'm going to beat you. And I enjoy when they give an enemy depth to their character, and you have to question, like, are they really a bad guy? Like, from my perspective, yes. Like, obviously they betrayed me, they went against me, all that kind of stuff, but in general, like, not everyone is just a bad person, and I enjoy that kind of depth of character and everything, and it shows their it's not just like, oh, I'm out to take over the world because I want to take over the world. It's no, I have a reason that I'm doing this. It's to protect myself, or this is all I've known, or whatever. Because I think Big Boss talks about, like, at the end, like, listen, all we know is war. It's all we're good for. Nobody else appreciates us. And you live a hero. What was that phrase? It's you die a hero, or you live long enough to become a villain, or something.
Yeah, from The Dark Knight. Yeah.
And it's exactly that. It's pretty much what he was saying. It's like, listen, we know war. We live, eat, breathe, and live by war.
I think Big Boss says, when there's war, we're celebrated, but when the second that there's no more war, we're seen as bad guys or something along those lines.
Yeah,
but
they're discarded, like they're not useful anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Which is true, at least.
Exactly.
It's a terrible reality.
Yeah, and I love that they put that depth to it and everything, because it's like, like you guys were talking about the whole like conspiracy and stuff like that, and it really did make me think, like, yeah, that's true. Like, that is that's how our world is. That's how the world works, unfortunately. And I enjoyed that they put that in the characters, and it's not just nope. I want to rule this because I want to be all powerful and mighty and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And
yeah. It
because
wasn't
that's
your.
so
I
cliche
mean,
and boring.
I mean, like a tiny subplot was the whole him taking the oil licks and whatever, but it wasn't the main drive of him. Like, I want all the money in the world. No, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
That was one thing I was curious about. Was that Oilix or was it Oil 9? Because I
No.
wasn't sure. Because first I was thinking like it was Oilix, and then I was like, but there's a space between there, and it looks like not like Roman numerals. So I was like, is it Oil 9, like a ninth version of oil or whatever it was? Or so I wasn't sure about that.
For a second, I thought you were dumb as shit because I was like, how did you mistake the number 9 with IX? And then in my head, I was like, oh, IX.
That's a good question, Chris. I want to say it's Oilix, but I don't know because I don't think I've ever.
Yeah, it is Oilix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it's a mix. Oh, man. I read it, but yeah, it's Oilix. It's like oil plus something else. So it's Oilix.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
But yeah, I enjoyed the game. It was a lot of fun. I did not expect to see Big Boss again at the end. That was not something I thought was going to happen. But it was interesting to see him. And then, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I can't think of any particular parts that like bugged me like they did in the first game. But again, I didn't put as much time into trying as I should have before I went to the walkthrough. But yeah, there was nothing like the wall situation in the first one where I was just stuck for hours and I could not figure it out that I could think of from this, where it's like, how does that make any sense? Because if you played the first game, I would assume you played the first game if you're playing this one.
Yeah.
And if you have played the first game, you would know about the walls thing, so you would know to check for that stuff and everything. So
what'd you think of the new mechanics and stuff, like crawling and punching walls to like knocking on walls to lure enemies and stuff?
Oh yeah. No, that was interesting too. I was confused by that at first because there's I think it's the main base, a second level, where when you walk, it makes that tapping sound and they can hear
that's
you.
right. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what alerted them? And then I was like paying attention and I heard the toot 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 toot, and I was like, oh, it must be they can hear me walking or something. And I think I had thought about like crawling to prevent that at first, and I didn't actually do it. And then later on in the walkthrough, it says, yeah, if you want to get by this area without letting them know, crawl. And then later on, when you get to the what is it, Japanese singing sand or whatever it was,
Yeah.
at that part, I just instinctively knew, like, oh, I must have to crawl here.
Yeah.
And I hate to admit this, but it wasn't until that area, and quite by accident, that I found out you could crawl under the trucks as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I remember I was crawling, and one guy was coming down like along the left side, and so I was like, oh crap. And so I was like crawling to the right, and I started to crawl up, and he went like partially under the truck, and I was like, wait, what? And so I crawled the rest of the way, and sure enough, you can just hide under the trucks while they're walking by. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's convenient. So yeah. Another thing I that kind of made me chuckle was the cheesiness of some of the calls.
Oh yeah.
Especially with what's her name? Gustava? Was her name?
Gustavo,
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just like
She's an Olympic gold medalist.
yeah. And then the end part with what's her name? The blonde lady?
Holly?
Holly, yeah. Like half of their conversation is just like, oh my gosh, what is this? Like an 80s action movie with romance?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it was so cheesy. It's so bad. Like, I understand, like, at the time, that's probably like
That's what movies were.
new. Yeah, exactly. But like at the same time, like nowadays, it's like, ooh, why?
Cringe.
It's just, yeah, exactly. Like the whole like, oh, dinner will be ready as soon as we get home and all that kind of stuff. I was like, really? Why?
Yeah.
And I understand it's an old game, so I didn't like. It's not. I don't hate it for that. It was just like I'm not used to that anymore. You know, you don't see that kind of stuff in games anymore unless it's like playing it up or making a joke of it or something.
The best part is that he stood her up. Like he just he fucking didn't take her out to dinner.
Yeah,
He disappeared.
yeah. But yeah, it was a good game. I very much enjoyed it. I would give it a solid 8.5 out of 10.
A solid, huh?
Uh-huh. Pun very much intended.
German, how was your adventures in the I don't know if saying this is a spoiler or not, but
No.
in the Metal Gear Solid D-make, I guess I could kind of say that.
I was good. Like I said, never played this game ever. As you mentioned, it was not available to us until subsistence or whatnot, and back then I didn't really emulate prior to that. So I still have subsistence technically, but I never popped. I don't know. I just never popped it in because I was playing the bejesus out of 3. That's the game I've played the most. So I
Yeah.
just never got around to playing it. But yeah, I liked it. I had fun. I'm pretty much, because we know most of the games going forward. I like, obviously, this is where a lot of the staples are kind of getting made. I do see that Kojima took some, at least in my opinion, some inspiration, at least from the 2 bad games that were made, because we got better navigation menus, or what do you call item menus, if you will. The best so far. Obviously, you can swap between item, radio, and freaking weapons on the fly. There's no
Yeah, with just a touch of a button. You don't have
no,
to
no
get out and
fumbling
go back
around.
in.
Yeah, no fumbling around. It's beautiful. That's the best, with the exception of, I think the NES version still has the best one where like they're dedicated slots. Like rations will always be on the
Oh, yeah.
bottom left or whatever. This one they're not dedicated, but it's still 10 times more organized. And then obviously just because the codec calls with the pictures, I don't know. I just think it adds a whole nother layer than just seeing text on a screen. So that's always pretty cool. I liked everything. No parts where I got stuck badly. I did get stuck on one section when then I kind of reached out to him, dude, what the hell, where am I supposed to go? Because I was pretty much, since we played 3 games back to back that each required a compass. I don't know if you noticed, Chris, like, these games almost felt like they were repeating themselves, like in the process a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So I was under the impression that I was like, I need to find a compass before I go up into the jungles. And then Luis, you were like, oh, there's a swamp. And I was like, the only place that's a swamp would be outdoors. So let me go up back that way. And sure enough, that's where I needed to go. I spent like a solid 2 hours, like just going to every floor, every single floor, and checking every door. Couldn't progress. I was like, what the hell do I do? But once I got past that, the rest of the game was smooth sailing. Except the second part I got stuck at was the hang glider. That was a nice little
Oh, yeah.
secret or whatever, not secret, but a sequence, I guess you want to call it. Like you. I don't know. You said you did the guide, Chris. So the guide just told you to equip the cigarettes right away.
Actually, the guide told me to equip my gas mask and the gas grenades and watch for the direction of the wind.
What?
And I did that. Yeah. No, I'm not joking. So the guide's like, "Oh, you have to wait for, the wind to change direction." So it's like equip your gas mask and use your gas grenades and it'll show the direction of the wind. If it's going down, it's
Mm-hmm.
south, if it's going up, it's north. So like, okay. So but it didn't tell me like how often to use the gas grenades. So I didn't know, I'm like supposed to spam them? Do I wait like 10 seconds between each one? Like it didn't give me any sort of time frame. So I went out there and I remember I had like 20 grenades, I think it was 20 gas grenades. I had a lot. And I just spamming them, like just throwing out as fast as I can. And the wind kept going south. And eventually I ran out of grenades and I was like, well, what the heck am I supposed to do? So I quit my cigarettes and then I tried it then and it didn't work.
And blew yourself up.
No, yeah.
Imagine after throwing gas grenades and you light a cigarette, you just blow yourself up. That would be super attention to detail.
Yeah. So I tried that and I equipped the hang glider and nothing was happening. I was like, what the heck? So I had to go kill myself so I could restart because I didn't want to go and find 20 gas grenades again. And so I go back again, and this time I wait like 10 seconds between each one, and I'm like, okay, throw it again, still down. Okay, throw it again, still down. And I went through my whole supply of gas grenades, 20 of them. And this time it took me a good 4 or 5 minutes. And so I was like, what am I missing here? What is going on? So I actually had to Google that separately. And I found on GameFAQs, someone had a forum going of that exact problem. Like, oh, I don't understand what's going on, blah, blah, blah. It's always pointing south. And someone had posted like, yeah, just forget all about that. Use the cigarettes, wait for them to smoke them, and then use the hang glider. It'll just work.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I tried that. And sure enough, it worked. I was like, I wasted all that time for nothing. And I could have just done this. It's like, and the walkthrough didn't even tell me. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why?
Well, What the hell? Yeah, that's funny. The walkthrough said that
Yeah.
because I I did this. So that's funny on that walkthrough. Someone should report that so you can fix it or whatever. But I did the same thing. I was like, oh, okay, grass grenades, and without the mask because I was like, whatever. And like you, I went slow. I went fast. I made it to the room without getting caught. I would reload the room and throw a grenade, reload and it always happened. I laid down by the edge. I was in the box. I crouched. I mean, I tried every freaking thing I could think of. I was not there forever, but I was there for a minute, solid 30,
Yeah.
40 minutes. And and I kept trying to call back your number one fan. And I was like, man, I was like, what the hell? What's going on? Give me some info. Give me some info. Master Miller. Nobody would help me. Nobody told me what to do. So I was just like sitting there and I'm like, will there be a sign? There's got to be a sign to tell me the wind's shifted. And so I just sat there and I said, I guess I just got to kill time. And that's kind of what triggered me. I was like, kill time. I was like, cigarettes. I'm like,
Mhm.
something with that correlated. I was like, equip the cigarettes. And I'm like, I'll see the smoke change. Yep. As soon as I equipped them, and I just sat there and I waited, and all of a sudden you see the smoke like blow toward the north. I'm like, there it is. And I gang glided. I'm like, that was kind of stupid, but kind of funny at the same time. I was like, I mean, I don't know what the hell you would have done back in the day if you were stuck at that point because
Yeah.
none of the in-game characters really help you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, after that, that last section there, I did find building two was kind of annoying because that little spiral, like even
Oh
if you used a
yeah.
cardboard box to get you to building two, but you wanted to go back to building one or whatever, you had to go all the way around the damn spiral. Just I found that a little annoying. There was no exit
Hmm.
from that cargo bay room or whatever.
Which spiral are we
But
talking about?
but yeah,
In
second
the
building,
tower.
the tower buildings on the first floor.
Why can't I picture? Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and but yeah, the rest of the game straight through, no problems, no issues, no nothing. The acid one was kind of funny because I didn't know that was acid. Um, I thought I was like, what the fuck, quicksand? I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And then the kids were talking about chocolate and blah blah blah. And Master Miller, I think it was Miller, he's like, oh yeah, I got it, use chocolate. That's something I wanted to say that this game made me laugh because there was times where they would be so what do you call it? I can't think of the word here, but they wouldn't really help you. They'd be like, there must be something you can do. Oh, I know what to do. You got it, right? And then that's it. And you're like, no, I don't got it. That's what I'm calling you. And then there was other times where Master Miller would just straight up tell you like what the answer was. You're like, dude, at least give me a hint first.
Yeah.
Um, so that was just kind of fun. Like the chocolate one. Like, I mean, I would prefer to be like, there's gotta be some way to neutralize it, and then that's it. No, he just tells you, oh, chocolate, Snake, use chocolate. I'm like, cool, thanks, buddy. Freaking what's his name? I had his name here. Kaiser. I think it was is it Kaiser? Kessler.
Kessler. Yeah.
Kessler. Yeah.
The Foxhound expert. He was extremely funny, in my opinion, because every fucking time you called him, he pretty much told you were fucked. No moral support, no nothing. You called him on any boss. He's like, oh, that's fucking guerrilla warfare. He's a ruthless killer. You're fucked, Snake. And then you kill him. Then he's like, oh, you're fighting the four horsemen? You're fucked, bro. And then, everything was always like, good luck, man. It's nice to knowing you. And
So,
I just thought that was kind of funny.
quick question:
Uh-huh.
you,
Yeah.
so you two, Chris, you both talked to Kessler before the end?
With Big Boss?
No, Kessler.
I don't remember. I don't. If it was an optional thing, I don't think I did.
So,
What do you mean?
because German, you're saying that you had codec calls with Kessler.
And Kessler was the guy that was supposedly the expert, right?
Where did you
On
get his
the
Where did you
all
get
the Fox
his
now?
number?
I don't know. Someone gave it to me. Big Roy Campbell.
Really? I was not paying
Why?
attention because I went through the whole game without ever talking to
He's
this dude, and then at the end he calls to give you Gray Fox's backstory, and I was like, "Who
oh
the
really?
fuck is this
Oh
guy?"
yeah. No, he's been there since the
I've
beginning.
never even spoken to this dude. Who is he? I was wondering because I had a question mark in my codec list throughout the whole game, and I was like, "Who the hell's that?"
Oh no, I don't remember like if he's part of Roy Campbell's team or technically Foxhound now. But no, he's the expert in all the former members or the mercenaries or whatever. Oh, you should replay the game now then, since you're kind of really into it, and call him up early and like I said, he pretty much just tells you you're fucked every time, and I just thought it was hilarious because he
Yeah.
provides no kind of moral support for you. And when you fight Big Boss, if you call him during Big Boss's fight, I thought it was pretty funny, and it when I was reading it, I read it totally in David Hayter's voice. You call him up, and he goes, oh, he goes, big boss. He goes, there's not a soldier alive who doesn't know him. He's a legend among legends, man. And Snake's like, I know that. I need some fucking help here, bro. How do I beat him? You know, literally, what Snake tells him, and he's like, dude, this guy has no weaknesses. Like, he's like, you again. He's like, you're screwed, bro. Like, give up. And I was like, thanks, dude. But no, that was the funny part about him. Like I said, just replay it and then call him for every boss fight. Like he literally tells you to give up, which I thought it would have been it was fine, but I thought it would have been kind of cool to solidify. I love how this episode's got a bunch of solid, we've been using that word a lot. Um, to solidify Snake as a badass, because kind of touching on storyline or universe here. This is your second mission, as far as we really know, your second big mission. First mission being Outer Heaven.
Yeah.
This one being Zanzibar Land. So you're definitely not green anymore, but you're still not a legend, if you will. You're just still a soldier, as far as we really know.
Yeah.
And I thought it would have been kind of cool if it was like, oh man, you're fighting, whatever. You're fighting 4 horsemen. These guys are crazy, man. You just give up, right? And then you beat them, and then you get a call from him, and just some kind of like, what the hell, man? You beat them? Like what? That's crazy, I don't know. And then towards the end, just like I said, maybe a call from him, or at least just after every boss fight, it would really solidify Snake as being this badass who's taking out all these badass mercenaries and soldiers by himself, But yeah, that was funny about him. And then the other dude, I forgot his name right now, but the guy who was the expert in the local fauna and animals and all that stuff.
Joseph?
Was that his name? I don't remember. I would.
Johan.
Was it Johan? No, Joseph. I think you're right, Joseph.
No, so actually, I'm looking at the portraits to the MSX version right now. So the names are different. I'll bring that up in a bit. But his name in our Johan Jacobson.
Okay.
Yep,
Oh yeah,
that's what it was.
He was kind of funny, and I don't know. I don't want to say useless, because his role could have really been taken over by Master Miller.
Yeah.
Because you would only call him for like the pigeon, and I mean, it's like a few areas. Oh, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But he was. I laughed. I actually laughed so freaking hard when you're getting the MSX cartridge from the locker room, right? And I saw rats. Well, no, I thought they were rats, whatever. And so like, oh, every time I had a chance to call people, like go in every Metal Gear game, Luis, Chris, I hope you do this going forward. Like, just call people. It's always fun to see what they have to say.
Mhm.
And so obviously he's the animal expert, so I called him up, and he goes, that's the deadly Zanzibar gerbil. It'll kill you in one hit.
Poison gerbil.
And I thought he was fucking with me. I thought he was, and he starts like, they weigh 2 ounces and blah, 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 this. And I thought he was going to be like, I'm fucking with you, bro. It's a gerbil, go through or something like that, right? And no, he didn't say that. So I was like, huh, whatever. And I take a step forward, or I crawled forward and freaking instantly die. I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, he's telling the truth? This thing is
BT
poison.
dubs, they will one-shot you.
I was like, he's telling the truth? I thought he was fucking with me. I'm like, okay, I guess it's a poisonous gerbil. All right, sure. I thought that was hilarious. And then I died 2 or 3 more times, because I lured him out. I was like, oh, okay. I figured it out pretty quickly, lure him out. I didn't think you still had to kill him. I thought they would just run
Yeah,
away and leave or
same.
something. But I thought it was kind of funny. You're just sitting outside the locker of the crawl space, just blasting them with whatever the fuck you had. I was like, all right, man. That was kind of funny.
Just exterminating gerbils.
Yeah. The that snake that goes into your inventory was kind of cool. The owl was
Oh, yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
funny. It was silly, but it was funny.
I love that you keep the owl
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
rest
yeah.
of the game, which means that owl caught fire
Oh,
Oh,
shit,
I
yeah.
didn't even
in
Oh,
your
yeah.
think about
pocket,
that.
bro.
Oh,
Dude,
jeez, yeah.
when
That is
that
a
part
dead
happened,
cooked owl.
I thought it was funny, because at first I thought it was Frank Gabriel that was burning. So I was just standing there, and then like I see him like
Yeah, it
run
doesn't show
out,
you
and I'm like,
burning.
yeah, like, oh,
Oh wait, is it
I'm
you
on
burning or
fire.
him burning in the
No, it's you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was
Then I thought the
funny as
same thing. I
hell.
thought it was him.
And I'm just sitting there taking damage. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, it's me. I'm like, whoops. I thought that was pretty funny. The For me, I was gonna say to you guys, I don't know how you guys did most of your boss fights, but for me, every freaking boss fight, with the exception of the grenade dude and the Hind D, I literally took them all out with freaking mines. You can use mines on every freaking boss. They work just fine. They work pretty easily on most bosses. I thought it was kind of funny, because what's his name, when the doctor's choking you, whatever his name was, Doctor. I forgot from the first one.
Oh,
Mednar.
yeah.
When he was choking you, I was like, oh, okay, he's choking me. I'm like, so, and I thought that's when I was like, oh, bucket. That's what I used the bucket for. He can't choke you through the bucket. Now he still chokes you through the bucket. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I was like, and literally, because every boss I've been killing with fucking mines, I was like, well, bring out the old trusty mines. You just lay a mine, turn around, he blows up, and just repeat. Is that what you guys did? Is that what you're supposed to do?
That's what I did. Yeah.
Like I said, I followed the guide, and the guy told me to use the RC missiles. So
Okay.
I was gonna say, yeah, I forget where I saw it or read it or something, but yeah, people were using RC missiles. Oh, it was a speed run that I was watching, and they said the best tactic is actually the mines because you take less damage from the mines than you do from the RC missiles.
Well, and they're probably faster too because you just lay it down and turn around
yeah,
versus controlling it around you. Yeah.
I
But
did one at a time, but the speedrunner I saw, he just laid down like 5 in the same spot and then just turned around
oh
and let them all explode one at a time.
oh shit, I didn't do that.
Didn't
But
even
yeah,
move
yeah.
once. He just turned around and then they just started killing him.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But
I was like,
yeah,
damn.
like I said, I had tons of fun. The Japanese squeaking sand, I thought was, I'm sorry, that was the silly as fuck. I was like, what, really? Like, get out of here! Like, Big Boss imports this freaking special sand from Japan
hmm
versus, I don't know,
yeah,
putting up lasers, more cameras, a fucking barbed wire. No, import this fucking sand, and just for the small area too.
Yeah.
That I thought that was funny. What else? Oh, the swamp. The swamp was. It was. I thought it was kind of, unless there's something in the walkthrough, Chris, that tells you how to find the path. Just finding the path was just trial and error, and that was probably the biggest downside of the game because there was no that I know of. No, like, oh, equip the cigarettes and it'll lead the way, or if you crawl, you'll be able to find it easier, the path or whatever. It was just some
yeah,
random path that was drawn out, which was funny because just based on was it Roy? Roy Campbell, I think, would always tell you randomly when there was nothing important to tell you. He'd always be like, "Oh, if you're stuck, just think of what the game developer would do. Think what he would make do and whatever, something like that." And I was like, when I got to that part, and in any game, not just Metal Gear, but I'm like, all right, if I was the game developer, I'm not gonna draw a straight line through to the goal. I'm gonna make it go the longest way possible because that's
hmm
what you would want to do, and that's what made finding the path a lot easier. I
Yeah.
found
He used every available
oh
space.
yeah, it was just a big like, all right, what should I go down or go far? No, you got to go far because you got to use every square. Um,
Yeah.
I found getting caught a lot in this freaking game. More honestly, I probably triggered a lot more alarms, mostly because I didn't really care too much about not getting caught, and because the stakes weren't as high, like you said, Luis. You told us in one of the text messages was it's very forgiving, unlike the last games we played. Like dying isn't a big deal. It's not the biggest deal in the world. So I didn't really care too much about like, oh my god, I'm gonna get caught and die. Nah, didn't matter. But I found it funny that there was plenty of times, unless I was doing something wrong, where like let's say you got caught in a room and you punch two dudes or whatever and you exit the screen. There wasn't even enough time to get far enough to go duck inside of a crawl
yep,
space or turn a corner
yep.
before another guy
Sawing,
walks
yep,
right in and just sets the alarm off again. I was like, I know, dude. Like, give me a chance to run away a little bit. So I thought that was just kind of like, I don't know what was that. If it was just kind of just not done programmed correctly.
yeah.
You had to find a screen that had like a quick corner.
Yeah, exactly.
If you got 3/4 across the screen, that's when they would spot you again. And I was just like,
Yeah,
I just need to
Well, there
need
would
to make this right turn.
there would be
yeah,
times too where even like halfway through the screen, it's like you're right there by my hiding spot. All you had to do was turn left to right, and just as you're about to do that, they pop through, and
yeah,
there
yeah,
goes the
yeah.
old. It's like cool.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, whatever. Luis,
And all of those count against you.
Yeah,
yeah, they do. Exactly. That's why I was kind of like, well, I'm not gonna get a really good rating anyway. So I was like, whatever. But I found I forgot what they called it, the camouflage mat or whatever the hell they called it.
Yes, I found that too.
I thought that was kind of cool. Did you find that, Chris, with the walkthrough?
I did. I never used it.
Okay.
It didn't tell me
Oh,
when
okay.
to use it. I was like, okay, this might come in handy later, and
Oh
nope,
no, it was
never
just an
used.
item you can use whenever you wanted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's reusable. I didn't walk away from it noise, do you know? Can you lose the item, or will you always get it back?
That's a good question because they did say you can pick it back up.
'Cause I don't want to lose it.
I only used it.
Yeah, you can pick it up.
Yeah, you can pick it back up. I only used it once just to see how it would work and if it
Uh-huh.
would be useful to me. I used it in the sleeping quarters
Oh yeah.
just to see if it would take on that pattern, and it totally did. And I was like, "That's
Oh yeah.
fucking awesome."
Yeah, that map was pretty cool.
But I never used it again. Yeah, I don't know. That's something to test to see if you drop it and leave. Will the game remember, or as soon as you leave the screen, is it gone? Like,
Yeah. No, yeah, that was cool. Unfortunately, definitely oversight. At least in my opinion, is you couldn't lay it down horizontal. It had to be vertical. So there was plenty of
oh, that's
areas
right.
where it was
Yeah.
useless, and I was like, oh man, I wish I could lay it down left and right here. It's funny though, because like I used it a lot, just goofing around, and guards won't see you, and they'll walk right on top of you, and you'll take damage. There was one.
I was just about to ask you.
Yeah. No, you take damage. There was one part where I was being chased, and I was like, I'm gonna use my mat for fun, because again, you can't walk far enough to hide anyway. So I literally
Mhm.
equipped it perfectly. I put it down, I lay down, I crawled under it. Guards walk in, I'm like, hell yeah, and they fucking start stomping on me. I'm like taking damage. I'm like, what the fuck, really? And then they decided to just stop and hover over me, and I'm just taking damage the whole time. Like, really, you're gonna stand there? Okay, cool, yeah. I thought that was hilarious.
Dude, I want some like fan art of Snake hiding under this thing and soldiers just like standing on top of him smoking cigarettes or whatever while Snake's like fingers are just broken because he's just like, like get off me.
Just walking over a lumpy rug or something. Yeah.
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 No, yeah, I thought that was cool. I never used the little mice. Did you ever use the mice?
I used it just to see what it would do, but I never used it usefully, which I probably could have used it a couple times in retrospect, but I never thought quickly enough to be like, oh, use this. I just
Mhm.
forgot about it for the most
Did
part.
you find the mice, Chris?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those were like, as far as I know, I never used them either. I launched one just to see what the hell it did. But I think it's like whenever the guy says, "What's that noise?" You launch a mice, and he'll be like, "Oh, it's just a mouse," and he'll just ignore the noise afterwards.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I think it would come in handy for like any of those, the sand or any of those metal tiles or whatever they were. Maybe that's where it would come in super handy. I thought it was kind of funny that like Snake has to punch the elevators. So there was
Mhm.
plenty of times where you punch the elevator, call it, and the guard's like, "What's that noise?" I'm like, "Dude, just push the button, Snake. You don't have to punch it, bro. Just push the fucking button." Um,
So I saw in the speed run that I was watching, he wasn't punching directly at the wall.
oh what?
He was like facing left and right and pressing it, and I think that way it doesn't cause a sound.
Uh,
Oh, mm,
I haven't tried it myself, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, because I
cool.
didn't hear that the hitting the wall. I heard the sound effect of the punch, but I
Mhm,
was like, oh shit, is this how he's preventing not being heard?
mhm. Okay,
yeah.
I gotta give that a shot.
But yeah, I think it's ridiculous that it's like, oh, what's that noise? Fucking
I
someone's calling the elevator. What do you think it is?
I remember one particular time I was calling an elevator, and it was in one of those rooms where it's just like there's only elevators in there. And so like if the guard's in there, I think it was the second floor of the Zanzibar building, the main one.
Yeah.
And I was in there, and it was one of those things where the guard would come in and like walk around the other side, and I hit the elevator, and this was before I knew it would alert them. It's like, what was that? And like, oh crap. And so he starts coming towards me, so I had to go around the other way. And by the time I got back to the elevator, it had closed again. So I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. So that time I just waited for it to exit the whole room, and then I tried it, and I got back in. But yeah, it was like by the time I got all the way around and everything, I had to wait for him to get out of the way. And the elevator had closed. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I gotta do all that over again.
You were stuck in a spy versus spy situation.
Yeah.
Hey, Dick, what was on the Zanzibar building, first building, pretty much right in the middle of the screen there. There was a room that had two guards, some kind of big old computer screen, and the national anthem would play. Was there anything in that room? Did I?
I don't know.
I looked around, like I crawled, I punched everything. I
Okay.
beat the guards several times. I never found anything in there.
Just taking out aggression.
Yeah, pretty much.
Beat these fucking guards.
Okay, so it wasn't just me. That's why I was curious. I'm like, I I thought that room was gonna be important. I was like, oh, this room, I'm gonna use it to, especially because it plays that national anthem. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm gonna use this at some point to, distract all the guards or some bullshit. Um, You know?
So I think Holly says that the map for the entire complex is in the command room, and I think that's the command room. But I never found a map.
When I looked at the walkthrough, and I had been in the room a few times before I looked at the walkthrough. But yeah, it's like, oh, examine the map and then go on. I was like, what map? What? The only thing I can think of is there's that like big screen there on front.
Just look at that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what they mean by examine the map, or like I never actually went back and looked at that, and I was like, what map? There's nothing in there. Like you said, I crawled over the place. I punched everything. I did as much as I could to figure out if there was anything in there, and I couldn't get anything.
Yeah, okay.
And so I assume it was just you had to look at that, and that was the game's version of you just have to remember what this looks like at all times.
Okay, no, I don't know. I'll go back and look at that, but that was an interesting one. What else I want to say before? Did you guys find the tape then? Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought it was nice. I thought it was going to be like one of the special items, so I try not to use it. And then, like I said, once I got towards the end of the game, like whatever, just play the tape and just run right through like the sand and all those sections. They didn't matter anymore. But no, it doesn't count as a special item. So I thought that was kind of funny. That tape is pretty powerful and it doesn't count against you. So, I guess it's just for going out of your way.
So that's where you used it, like to go across the sand and stuff?
But just any room that it was just any room, like whatever, play the tape.
I never.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I don't know why I didn't use it.
I played it in that one room. You have to go through the couple of rooms where there's like a bunch of mannequins and stuff. I played it in there. And even then, like at this point, obviously I'd been watching or following the walkthrough for quite a while. And
damn, that's a good area to use it. And sometimes they're facing you when you go into the room.
Well, it was one of those things too where it's like I'm reading, like it says, okay, play the tape player. And so I like started it and I continue reading. It's like, oh, and run through. And I was like, oh crap. So I going through quickly and the tape ends just before I get to the end of the second place. And I alert the freaking guard there at the end. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh, it stops. It doesn't last forever.
Yeah. So it only plays for a short time and then it stops. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not super OP, but it's kind of OP. Okay.
No, just enough to move through the room. I think I'm winding out.
So do they see you?
They don't see you while they're saluting. No,
I don't want to say
so
they
they're
don't. Yeah,
covering their eyes.
I guess. Well, it's like they're looking up or down or just away from you, and it wasn't until
they just stop. They just stop, and then you just run right through.
I'm like picturing the reality of it, just like someone saluting and then some guy sneaking right in front of them.
They must close their eyes. They must close their eyes.
Just imagine.
I was gonna say, I thought at the end, big boss fight was fine. It was a little anticlimactic for me, because you can kind of just trap them up on the top section where the exit door is, and you could just use the flyer right over the box, and he can't hurt you, and you just kill him that way. So it was a little anticlimactic, but it was still kind of cool. Obviously you fight big boss and stuff, and the escape sequence was whatever. I didn't shoot a single guard. None of them even could catch up to you. I don't know if you guys noticed that too. I thought it was funny that you're like, it's all like, you got to run and you're going super fast and the guards just never really keep up with you. Even in the staircase, like I just felt it was completely unthreatening.
Oh, yeah.
That whole section.
Yeah.
I was like, did I do something wrong? Like, why didn't it feel like it was a challenge? But then at the end,
because we're 30.
Yeah, that's all right.
We're adults.
At the very end, I know. Yeah, that's true. When you beat the game and it's going through all the characters, and I think they call it constantly maybe characters. I don't know. I laughed again. This is probably the second time I laughed pretty hard in this game. Was it's listing everybody, and then it doesn't list a single fucking boss except for Gray Fox, obviously. But it lists the Hind D as a fucking character, and I laughed. So like the
best character, dude, Hind D.
Not the pilot, just the fucking Hind D, just the fucking chopper itself. Like, all right, cool, man, whatever. I thought that was pretty funny.
And Metal Gear D.
Yeah, Metal Gear. The Gray Fox. Obviously, you and I know the storyline noise. So, did you expect Gray Fox to kind of be in this game, Chris? After you saw Snyder was in this game?
I didn't. No.
Yeah.
Like I said, from the last one, I kind of predicted that there'd be returning characters. I didn't have any idea who would return, but I didn't expect to see Gray Fox.
I was hoping for my boy Steve to come back.
Steve, I know, right? Nah, he's gone.
Which apparently is he's Jennifer. No, sorry, he's Diane's brother.
Was that?
Is what I figured. Yeah,
Oh,
we thought he was
okay.
the boyfriend, but I guess he's the brother,
Yeah.
who is also part of the mission. I don't know, but that's the reason he picks up the radio also.
Okay. Okay. I was gonna say freaking Grey Fox. In the first game, they just tell you he's Grey Fox, and I don't know if the manual tells you more about him, but in this game, they pretty much tell you he's. I think they said that he's the last member to get the Foxhound ranking.
He's the only one.
But in reality, he's the only one, right? Because I thought
Yeah.
that's what he said. I'm like, no, he's the only one that's ever achieved Fox ranking. And like I said, whatever his name was, Kessler or whatever, giving his backstory. You and me already know it, Noise, but it was just kind of cool. Like, oh, okay, cool. So you do kind of solidify him as a character. You know, like, okay, cool. He wasn't, just a nobody, if you will, for players who are playing this, for the first time. For Chris, pretty much, he's a real dude. He was the right hand man, if you will, almost.
Yeah.
That's pretty much mostly all I had to say. The only last thing I guess I can say before we hand it to you, Noise. So with all the new mechanics, it was great, but the game did feel like it didn't handle as smoothly as the other ones because he added the whole extra animations of Snake actually turning around. So there was plenty of times where you were like trying to like stop and go the opposite direction. It just kind of took a minute for him to stop and then walk walk backwards or walk up or whatever, change directions. And that was
Yeah.
just a little annoying because that was just we just got done playing the 3 games where you literally stop on a dime, you push the opposite direction, and he moves instantly versus me spin around and start walking the other way. Appreciated, but it was still a little annoying in my opinion because I was like, oh man, why you could have sped up the animations to make it more fluid, if you will. But
That definitely
that's
took
it.
some getting used to, for sure.
That's interesting you bring that up because I actually hadn't noticed that at all.
Oh no.
Yeah, like it didn't. I see what you're talking about now. I understand, and I did experience it, but it never really like clicked. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
No, that's it for me. I think unless we bring something else up that I want to touch base on too. But yeah, what did you think, Luis? You were the first one to play out of us 3, and you were the first one to beat it out of us 3. So what did you think?
Well, the game consumed me, for sure. And the first thing I did notice was that you just brought up. I was like, "Oh, this is not the youthful Snake that we met in Metal Gear 1 on the MSX. Like, he's definitely moving a bit slower." I did try multiple times to play through it on an MSX emulator. I wanted like the original experience, but if you felt Snake being sluggish in this version, good God, is he sluggish in the original? Not only that, but if there is more than one sprite on screen, meaning you, the frame rate starts slowing down. So like if you have a full on alert, like it doesn't slow down to a crawl, but you can definitely feel it. It's just like, ooh, like this is kind of getting rough, and sprites kind of the sprites kind of stop being rendered fully. They kind of have like that NES glitch where quarters of the sprite are showing up, but you can kind of still see yourself having that kind of effect. And I was like, no, I can't play a full game like that all the way through. So I decided to play on my Vita because I was like, hey, I'm going to be working out of market that week, and work was super light. So I was like, I'll just use that time at work. Don't kill me, people who are listening to this, my coworkers. Just playing video games in my van. But yeah, man, that game fucking consumed me. Like I couldn't stop. I couldn't put it down. I pretty much knew the entire story. I did know Schneider was going to come back for reasons that I cannot disclose at the moment. I knew about Holly and stuff because of portraits and whatever, and marketing and whatnot. I knew Big Boss would come back. So this isn't really a spoiler, but the reasons that German and I know about these 2 games, these 2 stories before we even played them, is in the manual of Metal Gear Solid. There's I think in game you can read the previous story, and also in the manual it's printed, and it just kind of says like a summary, like here's what happened in Outer Heaven, and then here's what happened in Zanzibar Land. And so we knew first story, we knew Grey Fox was going to come back. The one thing I did not know that was going to happen is that Madnar was going to fucking turn against us and try to choke us out. And that he also had like the Captain America super soldier gene and can fucking hold on to us with a kung fu grip.
I will admit that was kind of funny that you're
He's
like
an old man.
Snake. You're a super soldier. This is a scientist. So again, not trying to be a what do you call it? I can't think of the word, but a nerd. He's a fucking nerd. He probably isn't strong, and like I said, he's old,
Yeah.
and he was choking you out. Like, dude, come on, Snake, fucking CQC his ass, man.
Just, fucking throw him over your shoulder. He's already in the position.
No
Just-
shit, just fall back, fall on top of him.
Yeah,
Done.
fall backwards.
Yeah.
Step on his foot. Like any other option.
Dude, that guy he took missiles and landmines. That guy, he was stronger than we thought. That shit.
Yeah, seriously. Who the hell was this guy? So that one I did not know about. And I also did not know about Gray Fox would accidentally kill his ex-girlfriend
Oh yeah.
and feel nothing about it later.
Did he know it was her though?
I don't know if he acknowledged it or what, but he had to have known that she was there.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I will admit, like, to me, the only thing I can think of is he didn't know it was her, and freaking the doctor or what the scientist. I keep confusing him. Madrock, or whatever.
Madnar?
Madnar. Just told him, hey, we're coming through, and maybe just didn't know it was her because she was in disguise, right?
Right.
But why was she there in the first? She was a journalist, or was Polly the journalist? Polly was the journalist.
Holly was Holly
Yeah.
came in as a
So what the
journalist.
fuck was she doing there? I don't remember. She was here to help you. She was just there on the mission, wasn't she?
I think
I
so.
don't
Yeah, I
remember.
think she was your point of contact or something. All that is kind
That
of
is funny that like I do remember thinking that too, was like when she was telling you her story and she said her boyfriend's name was Frank, and I was like, what? And she's like, Frank whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, huh, too
Hunter.
much of a coincidence. Like, yeah, Frank Hunter, like two Franks. I'm like, and then Hunter stuck out to me because maybe they mentioned that later on in some other games, but point being is, and then when he starts talking about it, and I was like, dude, that was your girl, bro. Like, you fucking killed her. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And like, if he knew, he felt nothing. If he didn't, that's super unfortunate. Yeah, that was like, fuck.
Well, going back to what Chris was saying, like with the whole, if he did know, it maybe it wasn't that he felt nothing, but it was the devotion to Big Boss that he was like, I have to carry through with my mission.
Yeah, I mean, he did mention at the end that he felt like he couldn't like satisfy like a woman, like he couldn't be a man for a woman, really. Like his entire purpose is just to be a soldier, and that's why he stuck around with Big Boss, because Big Boss gave him an outer heaven. That's why it's called outer heaven.
We give him purpose, yeah.
It's a place for soldiers, a militaire sans frontières. It even says that in this game or the previous game, I forget. It was like in one of the manuals, and I was like, holy shit. Which just means military without borders, which is what outer heaven is. It was pretty smooth sailing for me going through. The marsh took me a second. I really wish there was some kind of visual indicators, but you just kind of had to like. The one thing I did figure out is that it was definitely 2 squares wide and 2 squares tall.
Yeah.
That definitely helped, because I was like, there's got to be at least some kind of consistency that I can figure out. And just like you said, he used like as much screen space as he could to waste your time to get through there. The fact that the kid said like, oh yeah, trucks drive through here every day. I was like, no, they fucking don't. Not through this shit. Like, there's no way.
That makes me laugh. So the trucks follow that same exact path you do, because that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, exactly. How? Like, there's no way. Once again, the key cards
Oh yeah.
play the same exact role as the other games, where you have to have the right one equipped. But the best thing to happen was the consolidated master
The
cards.
red, blue, and green. Yeah.
Yes. When I found the first one, I was like, say what? I was like, are you telling me this one does doors 1 through 3? And oddly enough, I didn't find the other 2 key cards until I already had all 9. So
Oh dang.
when I found the other 2, I was like, okay, well, at least I know where they are now. So they're in building 1 right there next, like in those 2 doors that, that you couldn't access super long ago.
Yeah.
I definitely spent, I have to agree with Chris with the backtracking for the first playthrough. So as your first playthrough, if you played along with us, you felt like there was a ton of backtracking. It seems like that's totally normal, because it's all about, okay, I have a new key card, go explore and see if I can get more items and more things that are useful. And the only way to do that is to backtrack. It does help when you unlock the underwater ways, because you can swim faster than Mike Phillips on cocaine. You can just fucking go like super fast. It's like a little.
Wait, what? Seriously?
Yeah, you can like fast travel pretty much with that.
Yeah.
Either
That was not in my walkthrough at all.
what do you mean, the underwater ways?
Yeah.
It had to
Wow,
be.
this walkthrough.
That's how you get. That's how you save Holly.
I mean, I would travel through them sometimes, but for the most part, it's like, okay, take this elevator down, go to basement 2, and then go to this other elevator. Or no, it was the dust chutes. That's what it was. You take the dust chute down to the basement 2 or basement 1 or whatever, and then take the elevator up to level 2, and then take that the next elevator to wherever you need to go. But I never like traveled between buildings with it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never did that.
Yeah, dude. And like the best
man.
part is like, so you can. It's like waist high, I guess.
Yeah.
But if you press the crawl button, then you're underwater and you swim faster. And then on the left side,
Is that what the oxygen tank is for?
Mm-hmm.
was there an oxygen tank?
Because that was another.
Oh yeah, there was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
that was another item I got and never used.
Yeah.
Like the walkthrough.
But I guess by then you're not really.
No, it didn't serve any real purpose. I guess
Yeah.
because there was the wastewater and then there was the deep water, and the deep water was faster than the wastewater,
Dude, so fast.
but you couldn't stand up in it. So that's the only time it would be useful was in the super deep water. But even then, it was kind of unuseful.
Yeah, by then you have so much health and it doesn't like you can in one breath you can go through that deep water.
Mm-hmm.
So once you figure out you can use that, it just traveling between the buildings is a lot quicker because at the beginning for sure I was using like the desert over and over.
Oh
and going through the squeaky sand, which by the way, it's not very effective. I don't know if you noticed. You can just alert them, and then originally I thought they were gonna because it says that they're gonna know your exact position. That's a lie. They just they stop in their track and then they start looking around like, huh?
Yeah.
and they all turn in a clockwise direction, so you know which way they're gonna face next. So I just ran through those fucking spots, no problem. I just made sure they weren't looking at me, and I just ran past them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, the little spiral spot in building 2. Spent a lot of time there trying to figure out what the heck was going on. I think the first time I did get stuck was after the fastest man alive, our man, the running man.
Mm-hmm.
You guys even get a good look at him? He was so fast.
Yeah, so fast.
He showed us.
How did you guys beat him? Mines, right?
Yeah, of course, mines.
Okay. Well, I'm saying because I use mines for everything. So I just wanted to make sure. Like,
did we have RC missiles by then?
I don't know.
I don't think so because that was before.
I wonder if that would work too.
Oh no, I was thinking of Hind D, but that wasn't RC missiles. That was the
Nikita
rocket launcher. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the intended way to kill the running man is the mines. The ninja, of course, is just a gun because I don't think you get any other weapon before Black Ninja.
Yeah.
I like how that twist happens like right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was no time wasted. They were like, "Hey, it's me, Schneider," and it's like Schneider, and it's like, oh my god, this is so crazy. I literally thought that fight was gonna be later, just because I knew who Black Ninja and Schneider were, and I was like, oh my god, it's the first fight. Like, are you kidding me? And then after that, it's the running man, right? And then the Hind D. So yeah, that's where I got stuck. Cause I was like, I don't know how to fight the Hind D. Obviously, nothing I can do can kill him. He's in the air the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And until I ran into one of the kids who was like, "Oh yeah, there's missiles in this part of the first building," and I was like, "Oh, okay, time to start backtracking." Did that. So Hind D was the third one. Who was the boss after him?
I think it was the grenade guy. Yeah.
So the grenade guy.
Yeah, I think so.
I got stuck there also. I kind of had to look something up. I was like, I haven't seen grenades. Like, where would they be? I guess there's 2 places to get them, if I'm correct. There's the spot where you had to blow up the walls, where all the kids are, and then I think in the armory in the first building. But I might be wrong. I think you need a key to get to the ones in the armory.
I don't remember that, but you could technically. I don't know how many Nikita missiles you can stock off on, which is something they changed. You can't just kind of reload that room over and over again. They had to reload the zone to stock up on ammo. So I sorry to cut you off, Noise, but on the Hind D, I had to go back and go get more missiles because I freaking ran out of missiles because I missed 2 or 3 shots on him. But you can technically use Nikita missiles to possibly, in theory, if you can get enough missiles, kill the grenade guy without the grenades because they would hit him.
I think I Oh no. You know what I tried the first time is I tried the rocket launcher.
Mm.
Because you can hit anybody with the rocket launcher as long as you aim it right on the radar.
Yeah, that.
But I didn't have enough rockets, and so that's why I was like, how the fuck am I gonna beat this guy? But if I had enough rockets, I literally could have beat him without the grenades.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Nikita's the rocket launcher, wasn't it? Or was the Nikita and then or Nikita's the remote control.
Yes, right. Sorry, Chris. We're referring to these weapons as their future versions. So Makita's the
That's
remote
fine.
control missiles, and if we say Stinger, those are the surface to air rocket launcher.
That's the one. I meant to say the Stinger. So yeah, you could technically beat him with the Stinger if you had enough.
Yeah.
But go ahead and continue.
Yeah, I didn't have enough. So I had to look for grenades, which I found where the kids are. What's the next boss after that? I'm trying to think.
This is the Fourth Horseman.
Maybe.
Oh yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I completely forgot about these guys. So the four horsemen. Once you figure out what their deal is,
They're so easy.
basically just stand where you don't want them to attack, pretty much.
Mhm.
So if you're on the bottom guy won't attack. If you're on the left guy won't attack, etc., etc. And then when I saw the speedrunner do it, he literally, before they show up, before the fight even starts, you can literally just put mines where they're gonna jump
Yeah, that's what I used.
and just let them fucking land on it over and over. I mean, I just used bullets in the submachine gun because I didn't know any speed strats yet, but I was just trying to figure out how their pattern worked, and then I was like, oh, this is ridiculously easy. And I mean, all the bosses are easy. That grenade guy was pathetic. I thought
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna go around the room
Yeah,
to different.
What was that room? Was he like up on the ceiling or like up on like a ledge or something? The tile floor or what the hell? I was trying to figure out what he was because he looked like he was like crawling.
According to my walkthrough, he was supposedly like on the other side of the wall or something, and that's why we couldn't hit him with guns.
But why is he
Yeah,
in a crawling
I-
position?
I was wondering the same thing. Yeah, because like if he's just up on the wall, why can't we use our gun to shoot him?
Right.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. We have to use grenades. So the walkthrough's like, oh, he's on the other side of the wall or something. I was like, but
He's like on a
crawling.
ledge or something, man.
Yeah, it was weird.
By the way, I need you to find out who wrote the guide that you followed,
Oh, yeah.
because this guy sucks. What the fuck, man? He's just misleading you over and over, and like,
Yeah.
maybe it was written 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
I'll have to check, but yeah.
probably not expert level. He was probably like, hey, I figured some things out, and wrote them down and never looked back.
Well, it was on GameFAQs too, so
Oh, jeez. So after the four horsemen, I believe it's Jungle Evil.
Uh,
yeah.
What a weird name for a boss, Jungle Evil.
it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. I like that boss fight.
Yeah, that was the one that actually took the most movement, I guess, on my part. Like, I had to like, where's it gonna pop up? Oh, there he is. You know, shoot him with RC. That's all I used on that guy, just an RC missile. I didn't leave the bottom left screen. I just because I guess you have to use the entire arena.
Yeah.
Oh, I never left the bottom left either.
Yeah, just stay
I
there.
didn't leave it.
Yeah.
There was no point.
Yeah, he just if he shows up in another one, doesn't matter. Just wait for him. He'll come back down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the concept was cool, obviously. But yeah, it was pointless. You stayed there.
Yeah, and then there was the invisible guy. What was his name?
Night Fright.
Night Fright. He also him. I just stayed in that top left corner, and I used the machine gun on him and some mines here and there. But you can tank him. Like, you could just take the hits.
Oh,
He
yeah.
doesn't hit hard at all.
I'm pretty sure that's
No.
what I did, yeah. With him and the Metal Gear, I just tanked it. Because even the walkthrough was like, oh, you know, when he does this, go up in the upper corner. When he does this, just move around. He won't hit you. And I was like, okay. And I got hit a few times. And I was like, it really doesn't do that much damage. And like, I can easily hit him with the grenades. So I just stood there and just lobbed grenades at him over and over and just tanked all the hits.
And what's funny is I played it on normal because I know Chris, you said you were doing it on easy, and Reese,
Yeah.
you said you did on easy, right? For some reason, why'd you go do easy? I don't remember.
My first playthrough I did on easy just because
Oh, okay.
I had a hard time with the original difficulty
Oh,
the
okay.
first time. I was like, you know what? I just want to experience
Wait.
the
Mhm.
the story and the gameplay and stuff. And So I did just mention the first time because I did beat this thing again. I did it twice.
Chris, and on original or normal, whatever it's called, it makes no difference. You can tank almost all the hits too. It was kind of pointless. It was cool.
Okay.
It looked pretty, but it was really pointless.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know the difference. It was the same, I guess. I'd have to look up something that someone out there probably has the information of like, are you taking more damage or is there less ammo? Oh, you know what? That's what it is. It's definitely less ammo on original and carrying capacity. That one I did notice for sure. So after Night Fright, we had the next boss battle, the acid. I did not know what was happening. I had a bad habit of not calling anyone, so I was just blindly like, well, first on accident, I had the right rations equipped. And so it like, it took away the first acid thing and then the second one, and I was like, okay, what the hell? And then I was like, oh, dude, my rations are gone. Like, what the heck? I thought it was just like hurting me and taking my rations. I walk over the third one and melt, I guess is what that animation is. I'm melting.
Yeah. I was like, is this Terminator or something?
And I was like, what is this? I really should have called somebody, but I was just like trying to figure it out. And yeah, I just realized that it was just, it's just the B1 ration. And I had no idea why it worked. I just knew that it worked. And I was stuck at that door. I was like, what the hell do I do? And then I get the phone call like, hey, Jungle Evil had 2 key cards on him. And I was like, you son of a bitch. and I, walked the whole thing, found it in the top right quadrant, went back. And then I think that's when you fight the Madnar boss.
Yeah.
And then we have a little key card situation. Well, not key card, but Holly? No, Gustava. When you meet up with her, she gives you a brooch. Is that how you pronounce it? Brooch or brooch?
Yeah.
Brooch. That's what I said.
Pretty sure it's brooch, yeah.
So the game is like, I don't know what this is for. And it's like, thanks, bro.
Yeah. But it smells like holly, yeah.
Yeah. It smells like her. I could just picture Snake just going,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, not Holly. Gustava. It smells like Gustava.
That's right, yeah.
At this point, there was something I also knew ahead of time because it was referenced in future games where they're like, oh, this is Kojima doing this. And so I was like, okay, this, I think I have to do something with this and temperature. And that's when I started exploring the, what's it called? The
quarters?
The sleeping quarters. Yeah. Because I'd never been there. And by that point I had the camouflage blanket, or where the hell it was, the Hogwarts cloak blanket.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called, but yeah.
And found the spa. And that was an interesting room. Just a dude walking in, turns around, you can kind of see his
tell, yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of see his crack, and then he walks out, and it changed the shape of it. And I was like, what do I do with this? It took me a while to figure out that opens up her locker. And what's in her locker? I don't even remember. Oh, that's where you find the tape.
Yeah, that's the tape.
Yeah, which is, I think that's why I found it useless.
And
I was
kid in there for some reason.
Oh yeah, kids
just walking around.
By the way, these kids are all supposed to be child soldiers. By the way, don't know if you picked up on that, Chris. These are all child soldiers.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I found the tape. By then, I was like, I'm at the end. I don't need this tape, so that's why I didn't really use it. And then ran into the freezer room, and I didn't take note that there was a locker in the room where Madnar was. I must have skipped that piece of dialogue because he literally tells you, like, I can't get into this locker or whatever. Figure that shit out, that, the cold key will open that up. Got murdered by poisonous gerbils twice. Because the first time I was like, oh, whatever gerbils, and killed me. And then the second time I called Johan, and he was like, oh yeah, those are the, these things. They're world-renowned poisonous gerbils. And I was like, maybe I can time it and try to get through them. I almost did, dude. I was so close. And of course, one of them got me. And he had told me to lure them out. I was like, okay, fine, I'll try to do your thing. And I was like, oh, I do have cheese, because of course cheese. And I couldn't I ran into the same problem with luring them out as I did with the pigeon. I was like, do I use the ration? Like, do I press a button? Like, why isn't this working? But no, it's just, the pigeon will randomly come down, and then you can grab them and whatever. And you get a weird message that you had to, what do you have to do? You had to rotate it 180 degrees, and it told you the frequency. So same thing with the gerbils. I was like, am I not doing this right? But then they started coming out, and I was like, holy fuck! And I didn't even like use a pistol. I just sprayed them with a SMG, just raining hell on them. And then the Metal Gear fight, which, by the way, if you are like on the top of the screen and you think you can go behind them, you can't. You just die because you touched Metal Gear. Don't do that. I learned that the hard way. But yeah, pretty easy boss. Go for the legs. Sweep the leg, as
nice classic reference there.
As you 80s and 90s kids would know.
I will point this out. I've been wanting to mention it since the last 3 games, but in this one even more so. I knew the game, but I never played it, so I didn't know how to beat Metal Gear, quote unquote. I was kind of sad it was the same fucking thing. Like Dr. Madnar just never big boss, and just no one said, let's make the leg stronger. You know,
Yeah.
After all, it's a walking fucking. I mean, they emphasize that every goddamn. It's a walking tank. Should we make the legs strong? Nah, they're fucking good.
He even references that because he talks about like when you get the secret from Madnar and he tells you about the legs are the weakness, and then Gray Fox goes on is like, haha, we improved it in every way. There's no way you're gonna beat me, and then you beat him.
Yeah.
Like they even it's not even that they don't even just like fix it. It's they actually address it in the game, and then it's just the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you beat Metal Gear, and then you meet up. You do some hand-to-hand combat with Gray Fox in what apparently was a minefield. Now, when I fought him the first time, I beat him easily. I literally just stayed in the middle and let him run around me until he got close, and I would punch him.
Yeah.
The entire time I was fighting him, I was like, I thought I fought this dude on a minefield because that's what it says
in later games.
In the previous stories of the manual of Metal Gear Solid. It's like, oh, you fight him in a minefield. And so I was like, this is just a room. And so I beat him, and then I had already lost my items by then, right? Okay, so I don't have items. And then I walk out of the room. I literally didn't step on any mines. So that's why I was like, that wasn't a minefield, whatever. And then we got Big Boss going like, I'm over here.
Yeah.
I guess that room where you have to find all the key cards and everything, they give you an extra key card as a red herring. Key 6 doesn't do anything. There's only 5 that you need. I got murdered by one of the pieces of acid again because I ran right into a room.
Oh, that happened to me twice. Yep. Yeah. And you're 1 pixel too far, and well, you're dead now.
I learned not to keep pressing in that direction as soon as I walk in a room.
Yeah.
And another thing I also knew is the way that Big Boss dies, or the way that you defeat him, is a spray cannon fire, which I always thought was ridiculous when I read it. And seeing it, I was like, okay, it wasn't just once; you had to do it to him multiple times. But in my brain, I was like, so Snake just with a spray can and a lighter?
Like Macaulay Culkin his ass pretty much from Home Alone.
That's what I pictured. I was like, that's how Big Boss goes down? Like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I thought at least the flame looked pretty cool. It was a nice big old bright. Bright red, purple flame. I'm like, okay.
Why not put you in a room where you have to put a flamethrower together? Why did it have to be a spray can and a lighter? It seemed like such a bitch ass way for the legendary soldier Big Boss to go down. It's crazy. So yeah, that was my adventure with that. The escape route, whatever. I didn't realize that you had to wait a little bit or something before what's it called? Before the helicopter pilot would come rescue you. I killed all the dudes, and then I was just running around like, what the heck? Like, why isn't he coming for me?
That took me a sec too, yeah.
I waited a long time. Also fell down that trap that was there. Had to do it all over again. But I guess the thing that has to happen is 10 seconds need to go by after you kill the 3 guys, and then you have to pull the trigger again, and then that causes the amount of ammo, and then you get rescued. And
okay, because I didn't shoot any of those guys. I just punched them all. Just stood by the entrance and just punched them all.
That's what I did too.
And I was like, what? I was like, any day now. I was like, any fucking. And then, but that makes sense. And I thought it was funny. I fired the one time I fired. I'm out of ammo. I was like, dude, I've never shot a bullet. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So I want to show you guys something. I don't know if you can see on the on the chat. The main reason I really wanted to play the original version is because the portraits are completely different on the Codec Calls. The ones that we are updated to look more like the portraits that we will see in the future games.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a mistake in the previous episode, and I said that Solid Snake is modeled by David Hasselhoff. He is, but in Snake's Revenge. So if you look at the box art of Snake's Revenge, that's David Hasselhoff. But in this one, they used Mel Gibson's portrait from Lethal Weapon 1. Big Boss is Sean Connery.
Is that from October or Red October?
Yeah, from Red October, yeah. Roy Campbell, I forget who Richard Crenna is, but that's the actor. Like, they're literally like almost pixel for pixel. Like someone had it as a reference and then just drew with whatever art Corel Draw and whatever 1990 version. Drago Madnar was Albert Einstein. Who's Tom Berenger? I can't think of who Tom Berenger is, but I think he was in Inception. He's like the guy that they have to one of the guys whose brains they had to hack, one of the dream guys. But he was Frank Yeager, Gray Fox, Dolph Lundgren. I can never say his name. From Rocky IV, he was Kessler, who I didn't talk to until the end. And then Bob Hoskins from Roger Rabbit, he was who we knew as Johan Jacobson. His name here is Joseph Norden. And then the last picture, I don't actually think that's modeled after Mel Gibson. I think it's more Dennis Quaid, in my opinion. And also, Gustava is not her name in the original. Her name in the original is Natasha. German will kind of know, for obvious reasons, why her name was changed. Christy will know later. But that was my journey, my long-winded journey in Solid Snake 2.
Good game. I'm happy got to play it. Definitely, like you said, Noise, you said you wanted to possibly start speeding running this game. And I agree with you you should go for it, just whether it be for personal glory or for world records. That'd be cool. I'd be happy to see you climb those rankings. I'm not sure what the world record is right now, but
there's no way I could do world. Dude, when you see the speed run, no way.
Okay.
But just for fun, like personal best would be nice.
The only thing I can say, I can talk on real quick was I am a little disappointed that this is what 1, 2, 3, 4 game at this point, and the binoculars, as they were actually super useful in this game.
Oh yeah, actually yeah.
But they were still very clunky to use because you had to equip them to look to the next screens, and then you had to unequip them to move to the. I wish there was a way to have them equipped it, and then you punch to use them or something like that, and then you punch to unuse them. So just a little less menuing, a little bit more ease of use. But the binoculars were
it makes you not want to use them.
Yeah, exactly. Then you do not want to, but you were like, I should use this, right? I can look ahead to the next room and find out what's the best way to get enter that screen from. We didn't talk much about it, but did they call it the Soliton radar on this one, or just radar?
I think they just call it the radar.
The radar was it was a nice introduction.
Yes.
Obviously, we kind of just didn't even mention it, but it was very, very useful compared to every other game we played before. Like just being able to see where enemies are, where their walk paths are. You're like, oh, I should go now because he's going around the tank or he's going around the crates.
Yeah, you can't see which way they're facing, but as soon as you see the pixel move in a direction, you're like, oh, yeah, they're looking that way. Which, by the way, according to the manual, their field of view is 45 degrees.
That's what they said. Mm-hmm.
But they didn't. It does also say in the manual that their heads turn. So like that little animation of their heads turning is real. So it's not 45-degree angles in perfect up, down, left, and right. Like it does move in 180 degrees. So when their heads turn, if they're looking down and it's 45 degrees and their heads turn to the left, that cone is also looking over in that direction.
That makes sense. There was plenty of times where,
Okay, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I got caught so many times. Like, dude, you weren't looking this way. Fuck you. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yep, they definitely were looking.
Okay, that's good to know.
Chris, I kind of forgot to ask. How'd you do with the tap code?
Oh, that was complete gibberish to me. Which is ironic because I speak gibberish, but yeah, it was one of those things in the walkthrough where it's like, oh, it mentions in the manual, and then it said something like the manual's not available, so here's what it is, and I was like, okay, I'll just do that.
Wait, what? So the game just straight up told you?
No, the walkthrough did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did I not send you guys the manual?
You did. I had
I
the
think
manual.
you did. I didn't even look at it though. Yeah.
You can get it on the XC collection or whatever the legacy collection, but you
Okay.
had to kind of exit the game. So with that, while touching on it, I wish it was like, I mean, it's the 21st century. It would have been nice to have it in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the Vita version, you know how like Vita you can kind of go back to the home screen. It was better than the way the Master Collection is, because the Master Collection is you have to completely exit the game to look at the manual. But in the Vita, you just kind of like go to the little home screen, look at the manual, and that's really the only thing they show on there, because they're like, you don't need all this other shit. Like, here's the tab code and something else, like the most useful things. I was like, whoa, this is like the most useful manual ever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that that the codec came into play a lot more here with the tab code, the upside down frequency. I don't know why Colonel Campbell changed his frequency twice. He's absolutely useless. He didn't tell me any useful information. Yeah, that could have been completely skipped for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Campbell didn't really. He would always tell me to call someone else, pretty much. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, the one person I think was the most useful, not in gameplay, but in life, I think was Master Miller. He had some great advice. I don't know if anybody else felt that as well.
He did. He was solid. Holly, classic. You know, she'd give you some decent advice or whatever, but then she would, you know, there's plenty of times you'd call her. She's like, "It's not a good time, Snake. Call me later." You know, like I was kind of like, "You're supposed to be my contact. Like, what do you mean it's not a good time? Like, what the fuck? You know, like you should be available." It kind of reminded me of Diane. I'm in the shower right now. I can't talk. Like, okay, I'll call you later. I'm only fucking trying to save the world here. You know.
I think it's time for our segment where we ask Chris, what does he think is going to happen next? Any theories? Any, yeah, basically that.
Any hopes? Any dreams?
I mean, I know that we supposedly got rid of Big Boss this time, but I kind of think he's going to pop up again. Is my theory.
Whatever do you mean?
Well, because we clearly killed him in the first one. We shot him, and I know like at the end he kind of like, I'll be back and blah 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 and all that kind of stuff. But like, and then he was back. And this one, it was more of a like he faded in death or whatever you want to call it, burned to death. But I don't know. I kind of think he's gonna pop up again.
So do you think he's like this series Ganon? Like he's just gonna keep coming back, or the Bowser?
Kind of. I don't know if it's going to be like a continual thing, like every game, but I think it's going to be one of those like either he's going to come back or he's going to be referenced in some way. So yeah, when I say I should rephrase that. I don't necessarily think he's going to like appear again. It's just either he will appear again or he'll be referenced in some way. Like he's going to have a devout follower that is going to be in the next game, and I was his biggest fan and whatever, and you killed him, so you're my enemy now, or something like that. Whether it's he returns himself as Big Boss, or someone taking the title of Big Boss, or like I said, a devout follower or something like that, that I'm going to avenge his death or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
As far as other characters, I kind of expect to see Holly again or hear from her or something. Schneider, I'm not sure. I think he'll pop up again. That's about it, because Madnar is dead. Marv is dead. Obviously, I would expect Metal Gear will show up again at some point. But I'm...
The character of Metal Gear?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Will Heimdall come back, Chris? That's the most important question.
Yeah.
We said that at the end of the credits. Heimdall will return in Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. So
did you suspect that Gray Fox was your number one fan?
I didn't.
Who'd you think it was?
I honestly thought it was someone like Holly. Okay. In fact, before we met Holly, I thought it was Holly, if that makes sense. Like it was, you had your number one fan, and then you talked to Holly for the first time, and I thought it was her, because there was one point, or was it No, I think it was Holly. There was one point you were talking to someone, and they're like, "Oh, my daughter is a big fan of yours," or something, and I was like,
"Oh, who said that?"
Okay, I want to say it was Madnar.
Yes, his daughter Ellen that you saved in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's like, she's a huge fan of yours. And so that's who I thought it was. And then we met Holly, and I was like, okay, maybe it was her, because she was like kind of flirty and everything, obviously from the 80s, and that's how it is. But
women are so flirtatious.
Right? It's take me, kind of thing. Yeah. But I thought maybe it was her, but then we still heard from the biggest fan after her. And I was like, okay. And so I went back to Madnar's daughter again. And I was like, but like, how is she connected to all this? Because we haven't seen or heard of her otherwise,
Yeah.
And yeah, at the very end, after you fight Gray Fox and Snake is like, wait, that was you? And I was like, oh crap. Yeah, I guess it was. So
I think it would have made more sense if it was Ellen, because why would Gray Fox be helping you throughout the entire thing if he's trying to kill you?
mhm. Yeah.
I think it would have been. I knew who the number one fan was, obviously, but I thought it was funny. Like, I think you see or hear from Great Box like really early in the game, and I was kind of like, oh, spoilers! Like, I thought like he didn't know he was here until like way later on. Like, I was mind blown because I was like, I thought we wouldn't find out about him until way later on, but he was like pretty present early on. So I thought that was kind of a missed opportunity. If they hadn't revealed that Gray Fox was in the game until after you found out that he was your number one fan, would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those things where after that was revealed, I kinda, like, thought back to everything he was saying, and I was like, "Was that really him?" Like, it kinda like you say, like, it doesn't really make sense because he's trying to kill you, but he's also trying to save you, and, like but I was like, kind of." Like, he would give some pointers, but, like, nothing like, "Oh, this is how you defeat this person," or anything like that. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like, "Try doing this," or "Get through this area," or "This is gonna be dangerous," things like that, where it wasn't specific stuff or, like, pointers, it was just like, "I care about you, and I hope you make it through," which I got that from after the fight and everything,
Yeah.
with Gray Fox, and after you talked about his backstory and all that kinda stuff, because he didn't have anything against you, it's just he felt he owed Big Boss his life, and
Mm-hmm.
so you could kinda feel there was that, like, that tension or the dichotomy of, "I wanna help you, but I also owe him so much, like, what do I do?" So it wasn't so out of left field, like, it didn't make sense canonically, but at the same time, it's like, "You're trying to kill me, but also you're trying to help me, so which is it?"
You
So
Yeah.
know, Chris, I like that you said that. I like that you said, Chris. You said he had nothing against you, but you just happened to be soldiers on opposite ends of the
yeah,
fight. That's pretty good in observation there, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah. The way you put it is your friend Frank was helping you, but the soldier Gray Fox was following Big Boss.
yeah.
I like that. Chris is pretty good at this. What do you think?
I think he's doing good. He's definitely becoming the foxhounder all on his own.
Pretty good fox sounder. All right. Well, yeah, that was our adventure with Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. We all seem to have liked it pretty unanimously.
Unanimous. Yeah.
Yeah.
For a 2D 1990 game, had a lot of depth and mechanics that honestly no other game in 1990 had.
Yeah, for sure.
If you look back at any game from that year, nothing compares. Not even Snake's Revenge that was released 3 months earlier. Crazy that both those games were released the same year. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So we are going to be playing Metal Gear Solid next. I'm pretty excited about this because this is where the series really takes off. I think Chris is going to understand the love for this series with this game. If he was already impressed with this one, the next one's going to blow his fucking socks off. Like it's,
Mhm.
I'm trying not to talk it up so much, but it's hard because it's really good. The level of storytelling is dope. It's I don't know. I don't even. German, do you have any?
No, well, it's the game that drew us into it. Honestly, like I said, we when it came out and we both kind of told our stories about it, we were just sucked into it. It was just incredible, And I thank the lucky stars that I was able to play it because it got me, and that was the main reason I freaking got into exploring other games other than like Mario and stuff, because I've never played anything like that before. So it's incredible, Chris. I think you're gonna like it a lot.
Okay.
What about you, Chris? You think you stoked? Yeah.
I'm getting pumped. Yeah, I don't want to get my hopes too far up, but I am. If you guys say it's like what really lit your fires, and then I believe you, obviously. But again, I don't know what to expect, so I'm not like, oh, I'm so ready, so. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. So for the listeners, get your copies of Metal Gear Solid ready, because I fucking know you have one. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this. You have a copy of this one game. If you have Twin Snakes, I'm sorry. We are not going to start with that one. We'll get to that one. I think that one's after Metal Gear Solid 2. So that's when we'll get to it. Just to let you know, we're going to take a week off because we need to get some things in order before we can get to actually playing Metal Gear Solid. So you're gonna have to wait at the edge of your seat just a little bit longer. I know people are already like, "Why are you playing these ones? Play the one we want you to play already." We're gonna give it its due. Like we're gonna spend 3 episodes for sure with Metal Gear Solid so that we talk about every nook and cranny. But we're not gonna leave you hanging next week. We're gonna do something a little special. You'll just have to tune in to see what it is. It's not going to be a long ass episode. It's just going to be something small to tantalize you and get you even more pumped for the Metal Gear Solid playthrough. But for now, this was Codec Calls, a Metal Gear Saga podcast. Yes, I nailed it the first time this time. I am Luis, aka Noise One, and you guys say your goodbyes.
It's me, Contra, aka Riser. Thank you for listening.
Damn it, Chris, aka Chris, and thanks for joining us. We always appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we'll see you next week for more Codec Calls.
Bye.
Over and out.
Yes, sir. The entire episode is out now. Those 3 are still playing. More content? Yes, sir. Pixel-benders.com is the best place to find it. Yes, you can click the link in the description below. Yes, you can send your questions to info@pixel-benders.com. No, sir. It doesn't cost a thing to give the show a 5-star rating. That's right. Nobody knows you are the one that will keep this podcast alive. Yes. Thank you. Goodbye, Mr. Listener.